I had a hobby too. Mine happened to be guns and ballistics, and I studied guns and ballistics as much as I could, and I wrote an article about high velocity.
So out of all my years working at Weatherby, the last 5 have been some of the most exciting. Working with Adam, with him running the company.
And to think that I get the opportunity of carrying on my grandfather's legacy 75 years later here in Sheridan, Wyoming, I mean, it really is a dream come true.
Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast.
Welcome back to On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast. It's not every day that we get to talk about what we're going to talk about. It's actually been 51 years, 52 years? It's a lot of years.
52 years since the launch of a Weatherby centerfire rifle action.
Special guest in the podcast room today, Mr. Adam Weatherby, joining us to talk about this new exciting thing. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks, Luke. Great to be here.
Great to
Love
be
this podcast.
in your own studio.
Yeah, it's fun.
Seriously, though, I've been very much looking forward to this day for a couple of years now, where we get to announce our newest addition to our rifle lineup.
The Model 307.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say it because I didn't want to say it.
All right,
I wanted you to say it. So we do have a Model 307 that's basically being announced today. Mm-hmm. It's going to be another maybe 2 months or so before we're really shipping in quantity. But you're going to want to get your pre-orders in pretty quick because I think people are going to really like this. This is kind of our take on, the simplest way to say it is it's our take on 700 action, which is different. And there's probably going to be some hardcore Weatherby guys that are going to be like, well, why would you do that?
Haters are going to hate.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about it internally too, but here's what it came down to, I think, for us, for Weatherby, and why behind this new Model 307 that we're going to talk through exactly what it is here. But the why of it is the Mark V and the Vanguard are kind of relatively closed systems. Like if you want to start playing what I like to call bolt action Legos, they're maybe not the best platform to start with. There's not a ton of aftermarket accessories available because it's so good out of the gate. Why do you need to change it?
Right. What I think what's important, if I can, Luke, step in is our two main rifle actions that we've had since the get-go were each created for a purpose. Mm-hmm. So when my grandfather started the company in the 40s and 50s, he didn't have his own action. He was using, predominantly Mausers and other actions to house his cartridges. So when he set out to design the Mark V action, it was purpose-driven to be the world's strongest action. Now, with the 9 locking lugs and the 54-degree bolt lift, there was unique things about it, but it was to house these high-velocity, higher-pressure cartridges that he was launching.
He built
that was the purpose.
Action for the cartridges he had in his mind.
100%. Yeah, and that's, up to the 460 Weatherby, that big 378 case that we have, it was made for those cases. You got to remember that, for the large cases that he had already been developing Magnum cartridges, then developed the action for that.
Yeah.
So it was specific. When the Vanguard came along, so that was 1958, the Mark V came out. When the Vanguard came along in 1971, what he did realize, the world's strongest action, as we still know today, is not cheap to make. No matter how you slice it and dice it, it was not built to be highly efficient in the manufacturing process. That's why the Mark V price point is where it's at. As much as we've tried to be as efficient as possible, to make it a quality action, to make it what it is, it takes time.
It was designed before CNC machines, essentially.
100%. Right. So the Vanguard was really made to be more of that value, right? It's got the hammer forged barrel. It's just been consistent. We've used the same factory for over 50 years. So there's consistency and quality that people can expect, but at a value and at a much cheaper price than a Mark V. So if the Mark V was set out really for strength and around his cartridges, The Vanguard was really about value, and it was about a set of features and accuracy and things that you could come to expect out of a Weatherby, but for a more affordable price. They were both built for a particular purpose. Enter the 307.
Yep.
The Model 307 has its own purpose as well. The Vanguard doesn't eliminate the Mark V. The Mark V doesn't eliminate the Vanguard, and the 307 doesn't eliminate either two. I got a pickup truck, and it does different things than my SUV does.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea here, is it's specific and purpose-driven.
So let's talk a little bit about specifically what the 307, the Model 307 is. So it is a full cylindrical action, similar to a 700. It is a 700 footprint action. So from a stock fitment standpoint, it'll fit in pretty much any 700 aftermarket stock. It has a bolt release that's high on the receiver, so it won't interfere with any stock lines. Every Model 307 is going to include a TriggerTech trigger, same trigger basically that we include on the Mark V, but it's the 700 version. The safety is part of that TriggerTech trigger. That's a big difference in the Mark V action. It is a 90-degree bolt lift, like a standard 700 action. The front and rear of the receiver are both full cylinders, so it uses the Stiller/Savage style 700 scope mounts, and those are 832 mounting holes, which is really nice. So they're the bigger scope mounting screws, so you can really get some torque going on there. And we have a really cool takedown bolt design. So it's a toolless takedown where very, very quickly you can compress the back of the bolt sleeve and then pull out the bolt handle and then remove the entire firing pin assembly. It's like super fast, and then reassembly is just the opposite of that, very easy. It's really unique in the marketplace, and so for guys that are into PRS or the NRL type stuff that are doing a lot of range time, want to easily clean their gun, tear your gun down fully quickly, it's an ideal situation.
Right. You just nailed the features there in a couple minutes. And I think, what we'd seen, coming back to a little bit of the why, Luke, kind of out of those tech features, is there'd obviously been a lot of custom builders, particularly over the last decade, that have really come out and used more of a 700 platform in the bolt action world to build a lot of custom rifles on. And I think a unique place that Weatherby has found ourselves is taking a lot of custom-like features, custom type quality, and introducing it in a premium production brand. And so, similar to maybe how we did on the Mark V backcountry TIs, we had a sub 5-pound rifle that was built with all these different things that maybe real high-end, ultra lightweight guys had been building at 3 times the price.
Yep.
And we can come in, and due to us being a production manufacturer and been doing this for nearly 80 years, we could take a lot of things custom builders are doing that we found that customers were asking us and put it into a production environment. And so I think with the 307, when people say why, well, is it just because we wanted a slice of the pie? Is it a Me Too product that we're just trying to be like everybody else? For us, we're trying to address the customer that wants a lot of the aftermarket support that's out there for 700 compatible products. Maybe doesn't want to drop 10 grand on a custom rifle, but wants those things in a production, maybe a high-end production product. And so a lot of those features that you mentioned with the Stiller type action and the mounting holes, the bolt assembly, this isn't we designed this, like each of those features, we designed exactly how we wanted it to be from the ground up. So we didn't go just find somebody else making something. I mean, this is our print. This is our design. Our engineers at Weatherby have. It is a ground up project that we've been working on for how long?
Too long. The inception of it started almost five years ago.
Yeah, really about our move time. Obviously, due to the move and just efforts and resources,
Right.
it got shelved. But I would say 2 years pretty aggressively.
2.5 years very aggressively.
So this wasn't just go find a supplier that's making something. This was going through piece by piece, dimension by dimension, tolerance by tolerance, through the whole specification after specification, through the whole thing, and saying this is what we believe is worthy of having the Weatherby name on it from a quality standpoint and feature standpoint, but also realizing that, yeah, we may upset a little bit of the old customer base that's very traditional, the ones who, tell me all the time we don't make enough wood guns and all the same things, right? And get upset. So there may be some traditionalists that are going to be like, what are they doing? But there's also customers out there who might appreciate the Weatherby story, quality, brand, but are in the market for something more like this. And so this is an opportunity for us to really meet that customer where they're at.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I know we've begun to pre-sell these. We've talked to some quite a few buyers of our bigger customers, and that's one of the questions they always ask is like, well, why'd you do it? And one of the things I like to say is, I think the Vanguard and the Mark V address the hunting market very well. Like the Mark V, it's hard to find a better hunting action with the performance that you get out of our cartridges. It's a great system. Some of the other games that people play that are maybe not so hunting, just going to the range and doing other things, we don't have as good a solution for. Like we don't have a magazine-fed Mark V right now. The first 2 models that we're going to launch in the Model 307 are both magazine fed. So using an external magazine, there's going to be more non-Weatherby cartridge offerings in both models than there are Weatherby cartridge offerings. We still are going to have some Weatherby cartridges in there, but it's a different consumer. It's not necessarily we're not going away from our existing consumer base. We're just going after some additional customers as well. So
right.
it's a different system.
Exactly. And I think, having hunted with it here the past season or two with different prototypes and getting out there, probably the traditional, the Weatherby in me, which is kind of all of me. I push back on some of these things, and some of the, some of the things look a little radical for Weatherby, but yet, like hunting with the, with our Alpine MDT, rifle, and having that folding carbon stock, and having that obviously inletted for the 700 platform, and having that detachable magazine. It was, I took it on a mule deer hunt last year, and it was pretty fun. Not gonna lie.
So that's going to feature the MDT Hunt 26 stock, their magnesium carbon fiber stock. That's basically 26 ounces folding, and so with 22, 24-inch barrel, you can collapse that stock and just about fit the whole thing in your pack, like in the bag portion of your pack, not even strapped to the outside, which is pretty neat to be able to do that. And that's a awesome hunting centric kind of PRS looking chassis stock. Chassis stock, I think, sometimes gets a negative connotation to it, but
right.
I
personally
awesome
don't.
Stock.
I personally am not going to go hunting. I don't a lot of the heavier stuff, but to have it light and to have it folding, I think it's a pretty cool deal. So we are launching it with 2 models.
Right.
So we have that is the Alpine MDT.
Yep. I will point out that one also uses the MDT magazine. So it's an AICS magazine length, but it'll ship with their polymer magazines just to keep the weight down. And then the second model
is the
you got to say it,
the Model 307 Range XP. It'll be obviously a lower price point than when you throw out the words magnesium and carbon fiber. It's going to be at a much higher price point. The Range XP is going to come in at a much more affordable price point, and it's a pretty cool looking gun. It's a stock. It's that barreled action is featured on a stock that we designed. Again, one that you'll see some familiarity to in the Mark V line. So it's a stock that we designed and are coming out with on that gun.
Yeah, so it's going to be a polymer stock that we tooled up that has adjustable length of pull and also cheek weld. So there's a little saddle that slides over the rear portion of the buttstock, and then you can raise it to your desired spot and then screw it back in. And then the length of pull is adjustable through spacers. And then that one actually uses, it's kind of like a Wyoming collab. That uses Magpul bottom metal and also the Magpul magazines for that bottom metal.
Right. If you didn't know, Magpul, the majority of their manufacturing is done down in the southern part of the state around Cheyenne. So another Wyoming company here does a lot of manufacturing here. So it was neat to team up with them on that, and we designed our stock specifically to fit the Magpul, magazine and so forth in that gun. So it's that'll be the Range XP. It'll feature a spiral fluted barrel as well.
Yep. And
come with the muzzle brake and thread cap on there too. So, it's got a cool green, kind of green color to the stock. It's still, with the bolt handle, the lines, everything on it. It's a pretty cool, quote, entry level rifle into kind of, really what we're playing in here with the Model 307 in that space.
Yeah. So basically for at retail, around $1,100, you're going to get a brake, a Cerakoted action, Trigger Tech trigger, spiral fluted bolt and barrel, adjustable stock, length of pull, and cheek weld. So you basically get all the things for around $1,100, and that's just something we can't do on the Mark V line.
Yeah,
at all. So, and then to your point earlier that we basically looked at the feature set of things we really want to see and brought it into a price point that I think is going to be much more attainable for consumers than what most actions that have that same feature set would be. I mean, those are $2,000-$3,000 setups.
Yeah. And so I think, I want to throw a shout out to our team.
Shout out.
Thank you. Our team here in Sheridan, I was really able to, that we had a list of features and really a targeted price point that we really wanted to be able to come out to have more people be able to step into, into this product. And so we were able to achieve that through some great supplier relationships, through a lot of manufacturing that we're doing here now at our facility in Sheridan, Wyoming. We're recording this podcast where these guns are made. And so it is a made in, USA product. Large part of things we are doing here in Sheridan, Wyoming, that will, we are responsible here, as well as, some key things that we do, outsource to some of our key suppliers that we've had relationships with, and much like we do our Mark V. So we have control over that quality, that fit and finish, that quality craftsmanship. We're spraying every single one of those guns with Cerakote. We're, fitting every one of those things up. We're, doing the barrel work here, the fluting, all the things that you're going to see that you come to expect, out of a Weatherby are going to be done at this facility here, out of Sheridan, Wyoming. So I think that was key, for this project as well, for us to be able to both partner with key suppliers as well as be able to do a lot of the key, machining, finish work, and assembly here in Sheridan, Wyoming. That was important as well.
Yeah, and I think that there's really just so much that's cool about this project that the team here, we did it. It took a little while, not so much our team's fault, but just developing things in a post-COVID world has been just more challenging than it has been in the past. Machine shops aren't as hungry, and getting prototypes just takes generally longer. But it's been a really fun process. It's not every day you get to be part of designing a new action, even though it's kind of a clone of an existing action, but it's got our take on it. There's things that are specifically Weatherby in it, which I think is pretty cool.
Right. And so even the name, just to talk about that, the Model 307, in case people don't know, 307 is our area code in the entire state of Wyoming. We have one area code.
For all 560,000 people here.
After this winter, it's probably less.
Yeah, we may have gone backwards for the first time in a while.
So it really is kind of a testament to our state, I think. Wyoming's been so good to us here, and just dealing with the governor's office down in Cheyenne to our local folks here in Sheridan. They've been so good to us, and I think we were able to launch this product. A big part of this story of this product is our team, the support we have here, the place where we're doing business, really set us up for success. So it's kind of really a shout out, if you would, to the great state of Wyoming, where we're at here. a Second Amendment friendly state, one that has our backs. One where the governor comes into our showroom, and just around in his cowboy boots and says, hey, what can I do to support you here? And so it's really, I think the name of this is really kind of just a testament to, what Wyoming's done for us. So that's 307. If you take the numbers apart a little bit and want to have a little bit more fun, it's the third centerfire action that bears the Weatherby name after the Mark V, the Vanguard, and now the Model 307. So there's the number 3. And the number 7 on the end, talking about the compatibility with the 700. Yeah. And so kind of capping those numbers there. So a number of reasons why we really, really went for that. Back in the naming things, it was, do we call it a Mark something? And it had, over a period of years, had a lot of different names till we finally came on the Model 307.
Naming things is really hard.
It is.
Like naming a kid's pretty tough.
You say naming a gun is harder than naming a child?
In some ways, because when you're naming a child, usually you're getting two people to agree, maybe husband and wife or father and mother. Getting a team of people to all agree on a name.
And lawyers. Because of intellectual properties.
Yeah, and, you're naming a person. That person is going to have probably, a 80 to 100-year life, hopefully. A product could have much longer life than that, in theory.
But we're not saying that guns are more important than people.
I'm not saying any level of importance whatsoever. I'm just
saying naming.
There's a level of difficulty in naming a product that's very hard.
Right. So if folks want to find out more, obviously we have a Model 307 section on our website that will have all the specifications, because this is when everybody always asks, in comments on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else, everybody says, how much does it weigh and how much does it cost? We have a website, it's this new thing, www.weatherby.com.
Yep.
You can find all those things there.
Yeah, I was actually resisting saying the exact prices and everything because I want people to go and look, because it's actually really, I think they both models look really good. And there's different cartridge offerings in both due to what magazines are available. And I think the last thing I was going to add that I was doing my mental checklist, that I cover everything I wanted to cover spec-wise. One of the main differences in a 700 style action and a Mark V or Vanguard action is that it uses basically an external recoil lug that is basically put on between the barrel and the receiver. On the Vanguard and Mark V, that recoil lug is basically machined into the receiver. It's integral. We're going to just do a standard, basically secondary recoil lug on the 307 action. So if people are asking questions about that, then I will address that one there, but you'll also see more specs on
we have some people that listen to this podcast. I know that all over the gamut of gun knowledge, but I think some folks are going to be looking for, for those, that type of information for sure.
But that's part of what makes it, more designed for manufacturability. It's where we can bring the price point down from a Mark V, is that the
less machining.
It's less material removal. What you start with is just a metal cylinder. A Mark V and a Vanguard action is not the same because those recoil lugs, they stick out, and so it's just a little more challenging.
Sure. And obviously this has the same accuracy guarantee that our other rifles have. It's all the same. 3-shot group, sub MOA. But people are coming out with different guarantees, and you can kind of chase that to try to sell some stuff. If the gun doesn't shoot, we'll stand behind it, same as we do in any of our products that bear our name. So,
and so if you're...
it's actually been shooting really good, too.
Remarkably well.
Amazing.
It's been really fun. So that's actually what I was about to say, is we spent the last fall playing around, testing, and taking a variety of game, played a lot at the range, and... that a lot of that content will be coming out basically starting today. To say when this podcast comes out, it should be around May 31st. And we took riders, we took our partners, we went with the Hush guys. We did a lot of different hunts and activities, and hopefully start to see that all over the place, because we're going to be promoting the 307 pretty heavily. We're very excited about this, and make sure you go check it out. And like I said at the top of the podcast, was these will be shipping in quantity basically starting in July. So
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's not every day you come out with a new action. So I think we're really excited about what this product will be able to do, packed full of the features that it has, with the Weatherby name on it, for the price that it's going to be out there for. I think it's going to be something people are looking for. People might say, another question you get when you launch something is, why is it not in this model and that model and the other? When my grandfather launched the Mark V in 1958, there was one model, and in 1971 there was one Vanguard. We're actually launching this with two models, but it doesn't mean that it'll be limited to that forever. But in 2023, at the launch, we think that these two models are just a great representation of some of the things that are going to be able to happen with the Model 307. But as always, check back.
Yeah, Adam, thanks for coming on and talking about the new Model 307. And if you're listening, go check it out for yourself on weatherby.com.
Adios.